the hurricane is over. Before you know it, while you're shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. That's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer and sing ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here as we prepare for race number 2 of our 6th season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. Getting ready to finish off this race weekend at the Emerson Fittipaldi Raceway in Rio de Janeiro for the running of the Rio 300. 40 laps of racing here today. We had a very interesting race here yesterday with the Pizza Hut X Series where we ran the first half of the race completely under green flag conditions. We had a round of green flag pit stops and then finished out the race with 3 yellow flags. We were fortunately able to end the race under green with a 1-lap shootout, but kind of took on a bit of 2 different race aspects for the first half and the second half of that race. Question is, what will we see here in today's event? Now, keep in mind, these drivers here in this mod runs with the CTS physics. Yesterday, the GNS physics were able to have the fuel window of a long green flag run somewhere between 20 to 22 laps. We'll more than likely see these drivers here today hit pit road a little bit earlier than that. And so with that being said, will we see these drivers maybe have to hit pit road twice in this 40-lap event? Only time will tell, and of course if a caution comes out, that will play a big factor and probably change up a little bit of that strategy. But as far as green flag from the start to the finish, 2 pit stops may be the order of the day here today. They can be very crucial into who's going to win this race and who is not. Former champion of the series, Anthony McCrury, lines up on the pole position for today's race in the Paladin's Chevy SS. Alongside of him, in the Velveeta colors, the number 12 out of Young Motorsports, that is Cody Smart. Of course, last week, the Daytona 500 may have seemed a little cut short in the commentary, and for that I apologize. I had relatives that came over, and so I had to end the recording rather quickly. And I failed to mention that last week was the very first time that a Chevy Camaro won a Hersheys Cup Series race, with Dallas McIntosh taking the Daytona 500. So history was made last week in the Great American Race. We're going to have to see how drivers that finished well in the 500, how they'll do here today, if they can remain consistent, and drivers that struggled last week, how will they do in bouncing back here today at Rio? Let's get that command.
Drivers, start your engines!
And for the first time this season, since we are now in the second race of the year and we actually have points to be able to look over, let's give you your top 10 in the point standings coming into today's race, presented by Golden Corral. Dallas McIntosh, obviously being the Daytona 500 winner, comes into this race as the points leader. Rookie Jordan Anderson finished runner-up last week, highest finishing rookie of the race, and he is second in the standings. J Baskinger and J Srigley are actually tied for third in points. Fifth in the standings has a tie between Tim Walsh and Joshua Collard. Zachary Fitzwater is seventh in points. Daniel Voyles is 8th, Emmanuel Hartnett in 9th, and James McCloud completes the top 10 in the points coming into today's race. At this point, only one driver has locked himself into the playoffs via win, and that would of course be Dallas McIntosh with his win last week, but of course he will also have to remain in the top 30 in the point standings for the remaining 25 races for that Daytona win to count towards a spot in the playoffs. Like the highest starting rookie here today is going to be Benny Watson, rolling off from the 5th position there alongside of his teammate John Arndt. Mentioned Jordan Anderson got rookie of the race last week, but the points are very close between him, Joshua Collard, R.J. Reynolds, Shane Lake, Elijah Gilbert, and Benny Watson, due to the fact that there was only one race and it's only 1 point separation for each position. But here we go. Anthony McCrury and Cody Smart will get us underway. Green flag us out at Rio de Janeiro. Let's roll. McCrury trying to clear Cody Smart. Looks like he'll do it as they're almost 3 wide for second there for a brief moment. Benny Watson was trying to get a run, couldn't quite get there to the inside of K Batson, and now it's side by side for the second position. Lincoln Continental to the inside of the Ford Fusion. Ooh, might have been a little contact right there exchanged between Watson and Dylan Young. Yeah, looks like Smart will take second. Batson will go to third. Now the battle on for fourth place. Looks like Dylan Young might win that battle as he swings around the outside of the Chick-fil-A Chevrolet, and indeed he does. So move Watson back to fifth. J Arndt right behind him in sixth. Matter of fact, all 3 of the Flying Aces Racing Chevrolets had good qualifying results. There's J Baskinger currently slotted in the 8th position. K Shearer there in the 34. Shearer last week finished out 19th in the Great American Race. Was out in front for a couple of laps in that event as well. Battle may be on for the lead momentarily here. McCrury did get around Cody Smart, but Smart has not let McCrury get away and has almost closed up a little bit of distance on him here in this last lap or so. Mentioned all 3 of the Flying Aces Racing drivers having a good qualifying result. Well, same can be said for a couple of drivers on Young Motorsports. Cody Smart currently slotted in second, Dylan Young currently in fourth, but for how long? Here comes Watson to the inside, and he will take the position. Benny Watson moves up to fourth place, and now he wants more. He's going to go for third off K Batson. His teammate J Arndt, he's going to try and knock Dylan Young outside of the top 5. Zaxby Chevrolet can't make the move this time as Dylan Young, I think, got the wall. Keeps it straight, keeps it going. Didn't really lose a lot of momentum, so good on Dylan Young to keep that car from possibly snapping around on him right in front of traffic. Batson and Watson still side by side. Batson clears, but Watson, if he can stay to the inside, he may have the advantage going down here into 1. And he's going to try it. Can't quite get to the left rear quarter panel. Now he's there. And he'll get alongside, but the question is, can he maintain that momentum through this next corner? A corner that seems to favor the outside line. Well, so Benny Watson, man on a mission. He's moved from 5th up to 3rd in the last 2 laps. It's not unusual for a rookie to win early on in the season here in the Hersheys Cup Series. Last season, it was race 3 at Las Vegas, where rookie Alex Drayton went to victory lane. As a matter of fact, we had a number of rookies go to victory lane in last year's series. K Shearer went to victory lane. There's another driver too, and it's escaping my memory as we've got a battle for the lead. Wow! Did you see how close Cody Smart was to the left rear of Anthony McCurry? He couldn't fit a sheet of paper between those 2. But that was a textbook move on Cody Smart's part. Whoa! We got a little squirrely through that corner. That's going to lose him the race lead. McCurry takes it back, and Watson almost was there to capitalize on that mistake. Close call for Cody Smart. Cody, last season, finished dead last in the Hersheys Cup Series point standings. Fortunately, was able to get a charter for this season to be able to be back in the Hersheys Cup Series, but trying to at least get a better season than he had last year, that's for sure. Just quickly looking, scrolling to find out who that other rookie was that went to victory lane. It was Caleb Farrell. Farrell, Drayton, and Shearer, all as rookies, won last season, so it's not unusual for a rookie to win early on in the season. We're focused up here at the front of the field, having a couple of drivers that are just inside of the top 10. Jessica Shelton currently scored in the 9th position, and she actually just took 8th place. K Shearer, so while Watson's been moving up through the field, K Shearer's been dropping. And he might lose 9th place momentarily to Daniel Voyles, who's currently scored in that 10th position. Charles Sandfer right behind this battle, along with Brandon Gonzales. Another driver that's back here right there, Blaine Keys. Sega Motorsports definitely on a bit of a momentum streak right now as a team. Last year, Trent Dunham closed out Season 5 winning the championship. Begin this season with Dallas McIntosh winning the 500. And so a lot of eyes on Blaine Keys, who went all of last season without a trip to victory lane. Question of how long will it be before we see the 42 finally get back into victory circle. Shane Lake right now is the second highest running rookie behind Benny Watson. Just outside the top 10, I believe he's around, I think he's in the 14th position right now in that GMAC Chevrolet, so pretty good run for him. Battle is on here between a couple of teammates. J Baskinger to the inside, team owner J Arndt to the outside. This is for 6th place. Baskinger might clear him here. Tries tucking up in front, and J Arndt actually gives him a lane. Now tries the crossover. Can't make the move that time. Dylan Young, like he was going to peek out of line for the 4th position on K Batson. Couldn't do it. A lot of drivers having some difficulty there with that first corner. And I think that's probably because the tires are starting to go away, and so there's not as much grip. Charles Sandfer was trying to crack the top 10 just then, trying to get by D Voyles, couldn't do it, and now Brandon Gonzales and that Nissan Altima is going to make a move to the inside. That's 11th position that's under contest. And Brandon, I think, will clear for the spot. A lot of drivers liken these corners to a road course, and of course Brandon Gonzales' last win came in a road course last season at Lime Rock. K Shearer tried to Jessica Shelton, no dice. Battle was on for 2nd for a brief moment. Cody Smart having difficulty with turn 1 once again. Watson was thinking about making a move. A lot better, tucks in line in 3rd. So far we have now completed 9 laps under green. McCrury has led them all, but remember what we said, the fuel window for the VTEC Series drivers here yesterday was 20 to 22 laps. CTS physics consume fuel a lot quicker. And so with that being said, how soon will we see these drivers on pit road? My guess is somewhere maybe between laps 15 to 18. Here comes Cody Smart looking for the top position again, and this time he'll have, I think, the advantage. Oh, McCrury got the wall. That helped him a little. Smart got loose. And will we have our first lead change of the day? McCrury swings it wide, gets the momentum off the corner, and he'll keep the top position. So Benny Watson now going to go on the outside of Cody Smart. Try and take that 2nd spot. Look at K Batson with a big run. Is he going to think about 3 wide down here into turn 1? Yes, he is. Oh my goodness, this could get a little hairy through this corner. Oh boy, Cody Smart nearly run Benny Watson up the track. And things getting congested from 2nd place on back. Some good battling here at the front, but Anthony McCrury just enjoying it all in his rearview mirror. Smart gonna swing around the outside. He'll keep 2nd. Watson trying to hang on to 3rd. He would have the outside advantage off of this corner against K Batson. Can he swing around and keep 3rd place? Looks like he's gonna. Outside line gets the advantage through the 2nd half of this course. Inside line gets the advantage through the 1st half. So if you're pinched down that inside line, you're going to lose spots rather than gain them. J Arndt's kind of faded back a bit. He was up at the 6th position, I think, now back in 8th. Lost a spot Baskinger, and now Jessica Shelton has moved up to the 7th spot. K Shearer, Daniel Voyles still the caboose of the top 10. Gonzales there in 11th, Sandfer in 12th, and they're the only ones that are really within shot of getting into the top 10. Got a battle here. This is for the 13th spot. Whoa! 3 cars getting loose off that corner. Poteet, Lake, and Keys. That's Poteet trying to get to the inside of James Richardson, and he actually completed the pass down low out of turn 4. That's one of the few times you're going to see a driver actually complete the pass down low out of the final corner. With Poteet up to the 13th position. One driver we haven't talked about yet today is the driver that won the debut race here 1 year ago. That's Trent Dunham. Where is the defending champion of the series? Started towards the back, moving up to the front. There he is. right behind Sean Gallighan. Dunham right now scored in the 20th position. And if I recall correctly, in last year's race, it was pit strategy that got Trent Dunham the win. And we're getting close to where pit strategy will have to come into play in this race, with it running green flag all this time. So, can Trent do any kind of strategy to get him up there from the 20th position? Look at this! This was almost a three-wide battle for the lead. It now turns into a double-wide battle for the lead. Watson's going to maybe complete the pass on Cody Smart, but he wants more. He's going for the lead on Anthony McCrury. Keith Batson follows in line. He's going for third place on Cody Smart. And Watson, I think, may clear McCrury. And yes, he does. New leader, rookie Benny Watson in the 24. What a pass for the lead by Benny Watson. He will get by former champion Anthony McCrury. Cody Smart going to hold off Batson for the moment. So he'll keep third. Batson back to fourth. Young in fifth, trying to get fourth place away. Can't do it. And look at Watson opening up a bit of a gap now on Anthony McCrury. So clearly Benny Watson was faster than either McCrury or Smart. Just had to get around them, and now in that clean air, that 24 car is gapping himself back to Anthony McCrury. Last time was about 0.3 of a second. We'll see if the gap increases at all this time. Keep in mind, Benny Watson, this is not the first time he's raced at Rio. The X Series drivers were here 1 year ago. And so Watson has some former experience at this racetrack. It was 0.3 last time. This time he only gained about maybe 100 on McCrury, but at least managed the gap back to the 61. Had a battle possibly brewing back here for the 10th position between Daniel Voyles and the Hyundai Sonata and the Nissan Altima of Brandon Gonzales. Looks like it's going to heat up again. Gonzales going to take a look to the inside. Might have wanted to make that move a little bit earlier, though, because now he's coming to the section of the course where the outside line would favor Daniel Voyles. Instead, he's going to tuck back in line behind the number 26. Move back up towards the front here. Keith Batson, great run here today for the number 39. Batson last week finished 14th, rather, in the 500, so looks like he'll have a pretty consistent day currently, and will more than likely move into the top 10 in the point standings if he can continue to run where he's at. I'm actually looking at the standings right now. The only drivers I can really see that are going to capitalize on the good runs they're having here today based off the finishes they had last week would be J Baskinger, Daniel Voyles, and Brandon Gonzales and Keith Batson. Really, I guess you could throw J Richardson into that as well, as he was 15th in points coming to this race, and probably J Arndt as well. J Arndt was 16th in the standings. There's a number of drivers that are not up here towards the front that had top 10s last week that we haven't talked about. Jordan Anderson, Joseph Srigley, Tim Walsh, Joshua Collard, who I kind of expected was probably going to be up here towards the front, but haven't seen the 33 yet. Manuel Hartnett, Zachary Fitzwater, James McCloud. I mean, some of those drivers could very well just be barely outside the top 10. Let's look and see if we can find any of them. There's Anderson. He's around, I'd say, the 14th position, maybe 15th. Oh, no, he's actually further back than that. He's in the 17th spot. There's Hartnett. The 83 trying to get by Benjamin Miles. Hartnett scored in 27th. There's Joshua Collard. He's back in 29th. Joseph Srigley all the way back in 34th place. Tim Walsh not much better in 35th. There's James McCloud and Zachary Fitzwater back here. They're scored 37th and 38th. And there is the guy who went to victory lane last week. Dallas McIntosh all the way back in the 39th position. Brooke Allen 40th. Chris Dodd back in 41st and 42nd right now is Joshua Cooley. Cooley had a somewhat decent day. at Daytona. Whoa, Cody Smart got the wall off that corner. He cannot handle some of these turns. That car is apparently set up very loose. So Coley got 17th last week in the 500. And one thing that we mention every single year around this time is if you're going to pick up points and you're going to pick up spots in the point standings, you want to do it early on in the season. I mean, right now, Benny Watson leading this race. He finished out last week's race at Daytona in the 39th position, but with where he's running right now, if he finishes there, it's so early on in the season, Benny Watson could pick up enough points that he could find himself up inside the top 10 in the point stands heading to Las Vegas next week. It is just, that's how it is early on in the season. The better your finish is early in the season, the better your chances of getting a really good jump in the point standings. Speaking of jump, Anthony McCrury is jumping to pit road. So McCrury is in and he'll begin the cycle of pit stops here on lap 20. So surprisingly, it's around the same fuel window for these drivers as it was for the Pizza X Series drivers. Dylan Young is coming to pit road. There's somebody else I just saw further back that dove to the pit lane. And that is Brooke Allen in the 3, and she's got some right side damage there on her Bullet Club Chevy Camaro. Seen some drivers slip through the corners and brush the wall. Looks like the 3 may have done a little bit more than a brush. Curry and Dylan Young, the first of the leaders to hit pit road. We're going to have to see now how this works out in their favor in terms of how the field will cycle around here for green flag pit stops. It looks like Benny Watson now is going to come to pit road, and I think just about the rest of the top 10 is going to follow him. A couple of drivers that are staying out there. Well, that was a late decision back there. I don't know who that was. Made a very late call to come to pit road. I think that was Collard. A lot of drivers this time hitting pit road, and the lead is going to cycle around now to J Arndt in the 05. K Shearer also stayed out. Shane Lake, Alex Drayton, Gallighan, Baker, Gardner, Miles, Hartnett, Mathews, Walsh, Alvarise, Srigley, McIntosh, and Dodd. So they will more than likely be coming to pit road this time, I would assume, unless some of them are able to stretch it another lap and try and get a bonus point for leading. Arndt, Shearer, Lake, they're in. And it doesn't look like anybody's going to stay out. Nope, this is going to be it for those drivers. So let's jump up here to J Arndt in the 05. Actually, one we should be jumping to would probably have to be the 2 of Dylan Young. I think he got off pit road ahead of McCrury. He did. But guess who got out ahead of him? Benny Watson, and that's a huge gap from the 24 back to the 2. Baskinger looks like jumped up to 3rd. Batson to 4th, Shelton to 5th, Gonzales 6th, Poteet 7th, and look how far back the 61 is. There he is. My goodness, he lost a lot of spots, did Anthony McCrury. I don't know what happened on that pit stop, but whatever it is, it did not work out in his favor. He began the cycle of pit stops, giving up the 2nd position. And K Shearer jumped up to 2nd behind Benny Watson. So the pit strategy definitely came into play here. And we're seeing the comers and goers as a result of those pit stops. I believe when they hit the stripe this time, we will now know the running order after the cycle of green flag pit stops. And they are going to update themselves, so why don't we give you a bit of a full field rundown here. We are going to be nearing 10 laps to go within about the next 5 or so laps. Benny Watson is still the race leader. K Shearer is now 2nd. 3rd is Dylan Young. 4th, Alex Drayton. 5th place, Jessica Shelton. 6th is going to be J Baskinger. 7th is Keith Batson. 8th, Brandon Gonzales. 9th is Dylan Poteet. And now completing the top 10 will be Anthony McCrury. Benjamin Miles is in 11th. 12th place, Johnny Gardner. 13th is Trent Dunham. 14th is Levi McIntire. 15th, JT Bryant. Kyle Mathews, 16th. 17th is Kyle Keith. 18th, Elijah Gilbert. 19th is R Reynolds. And completing the top 20 is Tim Walsh. 21st is J McCloud. 22nd, exactly Fitzwater. 23rd, Dallas McIntosh. 24th, Josh Srigley. 25th, Chris Dodd. 26th is Kat Batson, rather. 27th would be Emmanuel Hartnett. 28th, Daniel Gilbert. 29th, Cole Baker. And 30th would be Joseph Srigley. 31st, L Alvarise. 32nd, James Richardson. 33rd is Charles Sandfer. Those two lost a lot of ground. 34th place is Blaine Keys. 35th, Sean Gallighan. 36th is Quinton Moore. I'm sorry, Jordan Anderson, rather. And then Cody Smart and Daniel Voyles are all the way back here. They were last time by scored in 37th and 38th. J Arndt all the way back in 39th now, with Shane Lake in 40th. 41st, Joshua Collard, and 42nd is Brooke Allen. All 42 cars on the lead lap, and that is your lineup. And boy, number of drivers dropping like a rock that were up inside the top 10. J Arndt back there now, along with Shane Lake. I don't know what happened to them, but we may have a battle for the lead here momentarily. Benny Watson had that gap back to K Shearer, and now Kev has run him down. And if these two start to battle, that could bring Dylan Young into the conversation, and then it's over 2.5 seconds back to Alex Drayton in 4th place. So right now, it's these three that may settle this race out. And these drivers should be good to go on fuel now. It should just be this one-stop race because of the fact that the start of the pit stops began at the completion of lap 20, right at the halfway point. So they should be good to go. K Shearer took a peek. But Benny Watson not giving him a lane to take a look to the inside of his left-rear quarter panel holds him off, at least for the moment. What Benny Watson would like is for Dylan Young to get up here, start battling with K Shearer, and alleviate a little bit of the pressure that Watson is having to defend the lead with. K Shearer last year picked up his 2nd career Hersheys Cup Series victory. He was a non-charter winner back in season 4 at Indianapolis. Last season got his first chartered win at Dover, as he's going to take a peek to the inside of Watson here. And he's looking for career win number 3. He's alongside the 24, but he's on the inside heading down to these next corners, which favor the outside line. Didn't quite complete the pass on Watson, and he's going to pay for it. He'll lose the race lead right there. You got to make the pass and complete the pass before you get to the back straightaway if you're going to use that inside line. And I think Watson realizes that. He's giving Shearer the inside line in the latter sections of the course, realizing the high line's going to get the run. But if Shearer gets the inside of him going into this corner, then Watson might be in trouble, and Shearer is able to get to the inside, and he will take the top position. What a difference a pit stop makes, eh? K Shearer was struggling. He lost about 4 spots on the racetrack during the first half of that race. 34 was a handful, but they made some kind of an adjustment during his pit stop, and it has made that car lightning fast. And now he is the leader of this race. Watson slips back to 2nd. Now we're going to have to see how Benny Watson's able to do with his car not out in clean air. Shearer's been able to gap himself back to Watson, at least for the moment. Dylan Young right there waiting to see what happens. And as this is going on, I've been noticing that little by little, Alex Drayton in 4th, Jessica Shelton in 5th, they've been able to chip away at the gap between themselves and the top 3. I don't know if they've got enough time to be able to get up there and snatch away a podium position. We're going to have to wait and see. Drayton, of course, next week will be the 1-year anniversary of his first career win in the Hersheys Cup Series at Las Vegas. There's Baskinger leading this contingency of 6th place on back. Baskinger in 6th, Batson in 7th, Gonzales, Poteet, and McCrury right now your top 10. And how about the comeback by Trent Dunham? Doesn't look like he's going to finish top 10 here today, but he'll finish 13th at the track he won at 1 year ago. So definitely a good comeback for him because he was about, 20th, 21st when the cycle of pit stops began? A number of drivers actually improving their position after the pit stops. Levi McIntyre right there, Johnny Gardner, Benjamin Miles. I thought we might have a battle in the fourth position, Shelton and Drayton, but that's not the case. Shelton not able to make the move this time. We are inside the 10 laps to go mark, and knock on wood, we are not going to see a caution flag in this entirety of the race. So it's more than likely going to come down between a couple of Chevys and a Ford. Shearer, Watson, and Dylan Young. We have Shearer, last year's Rookie of the Year. Benny Watson competing for this year's Rookie of the Year, a former Pizza Next Year's champion. And Dylan Young coming off the heels of a career year for him last season, which saw him go to victory lane 3 times and finish 3rd in the overall point standings. So far, Watson has not let Shearer get away. However, on the flip side, he hasn't really run Kev Shearer down. Needs Kev to make a mistake. Now remember, as the run went on in the first half of the race, that's when the 34 started losing positions. So the handling appeared to go away as the tires wore down. Watson's car got better. That's when he made the pass on Anthony McCrury for the race lead. So, as this race draws to a close and the tires start to wear down again, will we see the 34 fade and the 24 resurge? Gap that time appeared to have closed up just the least little bit between Shearer and Watson. Not by much though. Gap remaining somewhere around the 3/10 mark. Little gain that time by Kev Shearer, but nothing really that significant. It looks like Watson's running about maybe a quarter of a groove lower in the entry into turn 1 than Kev Shearer. Doesn't appear to be gaining him anything. Dylan Young right there in 3rd place. Doesn't look like Dylan's really got anything to challenge Watson for 2nd. So at the current point in time, I think these drivers, these 3, are just waiting to see if one or the other makes a mistake. Off turn 4 this time. Let's see if the gap increases, decreases, or at least stays around the status quo. The gap looks about a little closer this time. And about 2 100ths gained by Watson, but just about basically the exact same gap. So it would appear to me that Kev Shearer and Benny Watson both have pieces producing about the exact same amount of speed. Neither one nor the other is better in terms of speed. So it could come down to handling. It could come down to just how well that they can serve their tires here in battling. Because tires mean grip. And we've seen with the way they've been slipping and sliding around these corners, grip is definitely a key factor. This time by, it will be 5 laps to go. And the gap this time remains just about exactly the same. The gap has also remained the same between Watson and Dylan Young for 2nd place. So right now, all 3 of these drivers are at a bit of a stalemate. Watson ran a little wider through that corner. Dylan Young ran a little lower, and Dylan closed the gap up on Watson just at least a little bit. Dylan may have found something there in turns 1 and 2. While the gap still remains status quo back to these 2. Drayton in 4th and Shelton in 5th. We've had some changes back here. Brandon Gonzales now moves into 6th place. Keith Batson looking to take 7th from J Baskinger. So these drivers getting a little antsy back here, battling for position. Every position means a point. Poteet with a crossover on Batson. This would potentially be a battle for the 8th spot. And Poteet, will he get to the inside of Batson? Yes, he will. Now the question is, can he clear him before they get to the exit of turn 2? Not yet. Now I think he might have him cleared. Yes, he does. He completes the pass. Can he tuck up in front of Keith Batson? Question. Oh, got loose through that corner, and Batson's going to swing around the outside. One car hard into the wall. That was J Bryant. He hangs on to it, though. We're still green, and now Miles trying to take away the 10th spot away from Anthony McCrury. Not going to be able to do it this time. Poteet loses 8th place to Batson, and now here comes McCrury trying the top side. Back up towards the front, see if anything's developed. Nope, basically still exactly the same. As a matter of fact, that lap, K Shearer opened up the gap between himself and Benny Watson by about 7 hundredths. Now making it 0.4 of a second, the gap back to the Chick-fil-A Chevrolet. That's fun to say. I just rhymed 3 times right there. Wow, okay. Chick-fil-A, Chevrolet, that's fun to say. Yeah, anyway, back to the race. 2 more laps to go for K Shearer. Last season, when he went to victory lane at Dover, it was his 12th start of the season. Here today, looks like it's only going to be his 2nd start of the season, in which K Shearer will be going to victory lane in this one, unless something happens. Watson closed the gap up that time, visibly through that corner. He seems to be a little bit better through turn 3 than K Shearer, but then all that ground he kind of loses off the exit of turn 4. And I apologize, I looked back and no, K Shearer was not a charter winner back in season 4. He got the non-charter win there. But the white flag was just displayed for his instant breakfast Chevy. K Shearer trying to start out the year with a trip to victory lane here, which would be his 2nd career victory in the Hersheys Cup Series. Watson hoping, praying that Shearer messes up this final corner, but Kev has been very strong since those pit stops, and he's going to bring it home. Out of turn 4 for the final time, the Rio 300 is going to go to the 34 of K Shearer. Last week at Daytona, K Shearer finished 19th in the point standings. Finished out of the race in that one. But today, with this win, don't know about points lead, but he will definitely be up, I would think, inside the top 5 in the standings heading to next week's race at Las Vegas. So it's 1-1 Chevy Camaro versus Chevrolet SS for victories this season. That's a tally we'll be keeping track of during the course of this year. And K Shearer pick up his 2nd career win in the Hersheys Cup Series and 1st of the season. And the standings are now official. Benny Watson will get Rookie of the Race, so close to picking up his 1st Hersheys Cup Series win of his career and only his 2nd start. But he'll get runner-up, and Dylan Young will finish out the day with a solid podium in 3rd. Alex Drayton gets 4th, Shelton in 5th. Brandon Gonzales made a late race move to get 6th. He'll get that spot from J Baskinger, who'll finish 7th. 8th will be Keith Batson, 9th Dylan Poteet, and the pole sitter Anthony McCrury will have to settle for 10th. Johnny Gardner with 11th. 12th for Benjamin Miles. 13th with J Bryant. 14th Kyle Mathews. Trent Dunham 15th. The rest of your top 20 were Levi McIntyre, Elijah Gilbert, Tim Walsh, Kyle Keith, and R Reynolds. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results for this one. And a number of drivers who were running well before the pit stops began faded back and finished rather mediocrely. Charles Sandfer back to 30th, and he was around 12th, 13th when the pit stops began. Richardson was around that spot as well and finished 32nd. Jordan Anderson was just outside the top 10 when the pit stops began, finishes in 36th. And Cody Smart was in third place when the pit stops began. He'll finish 37th. Daniel Voyles and Shane Lake, J Arndt were all also running up inside the top 15 when the pit stops began. 38th, 39th, and 40th for those drivers. And Joshua Collard finished a lap down in the 33 car. Not certain what happened with him, but looks like he at least finished out today's race behind teammate Brooke Allen. So that is going to do it here today from Rio de Janeiro. If you enjoyed today's race, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to Compare the Crew today. We've shown you your full feature results, and these are your rookie points and your overall standings heading into next week's race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. All three series will be back there as we will go racing at the home of the Neon Garage. And until that time, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.